guys, I am Sasha Perl-Raver here for Screen Junkies News, joined by Editor-in-Chief Roth Coronet, and we are thrilled to have a very special guest with us, the Fate of the Furious director, F. Gary Gray.
Hey.
Yay! Hey. Thank you so much for being here. Well, we are huge fans of the franchise. Okay. Huge. Were you going into this?
You know what? Yes. But you know what? I did tell them that if we're going to do an 8, we have to do something different.
Yes.
You know, so there was a slight difference when I was going in, because I said, you know, the 1 through 7 was so successful and the fan base is global that if you want me to come in and do the same, that's going to be a challenge.
Yeah.
You know, and plus, you know, it's not fair to the fans. So yes, a fan, but definitely a person who advocated doing something slightly different.
How do you balance the line of delivering on the things that we love in the Fast and the Furious and elevating the drama?
Well, you just, you know, you have to acknowledge it. You know, if you're a Fast fan, you know you are going to get amazing, sometimes over-the-top action, because that's what you go to the theater to see. You want to see the car chases and races and things like that. So I knew personally I had to deliver that, but just on another level. The performances are going to shift because of the nature of the story. So elevating the performances is something I really, really focused on. So if you see Michelle Rodriguez and you see Vin Diesel and you see even Jason Statham, you'll see something different from them. And I'd like to think that they took it to the next level, and a lot of it is because of the story shift.
I am such a huge fan of Jason Statham, also Charlize Theron, also of yours, which brings me to The Italian Job, your first big car movie.
That's right. Well, secretly, this is the sequel. This is The Italian Job 2.
It is.
No, I'm kidding.
The Italian Job 2, which, by the way, I still totally hope happens, because that was such a good movie.
They dropped the ball on that, didn't they?
Was it Edward Norton's fault? You can say.
No, you know what? No,
we went the inside scoop.
Okay, that's funny. No, you know what? They talked about it for so long. It was the Italian Job 2, it was the Brazilian Job, and it's just something that you have Mark Wahlberg, you have Charlize Theron, you have Jason Statham, you have Seth Green, Mos Def.
Come on!
That's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
But, you know, I said, okay, cool, then I'll just do Fast.
Do Fate of the Furious. It does in many ways feel like, people always talk about like the spiritual sequel. This does kind of feel like a spiritual sequel. So when you already know how to do fast car chases,
yes.
What did you learn on that film that you could then go to 11 with here? And how did your relationship with Charlize and Jason sort of inform the relationships in this movie?
Well, The Italian Job compared to this movie is like a snack. Seriously, The Italian Job is fun. You know, we have the cute little Mini Coopers driving up and down Hollywood Boulevard, but this is a whole nother level. This is massive. I mean, you know, in The Italian Job, we went to Venice, Italy. We had fun, boat chase and things like that. But with this, we go to Cuba, Germany, New York, Iceland, Russia. It's insane. Just the logistics alone was insane. And then you have the biggest cast just possible for a movie like this. It's like the Avengers plus. You know, you have Helen Mirren, you have Charlize Theron, and I can just keep going, Oscar winners, and the biggest action heroes on planet Earth, all in one movie. It's a lot different than The Italian Job, and while I love that movie, it just pales in comparison. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the previs for the big action set pieces?
Sure.
Because in my mind, you are actually with hot cars and fake submarines and working it out with the stunt crew. But how are you actually doing? Do you ever play with toy cars a little bit before?
You couldn't imagine the amount of playing that we did on this movie, and how many Hot Wheels
I can't
moments.
imagine. I'm imagining now.
We literally had submarines and toy cars, and we're vroom, vroom, and I'm recovering from this angle, vroom, vroom, here comes the sub, here's the plane. And so, you know, and I get paid to do that. So,
That's so cool.
No, think about it. If you come from a movie like Straight Outta Compton, which is my last film.
Which I have to say, pissed me off to no level that it did not get enough
the snub.
Oscar love.
We were going to talk about the snub.
It really like genuinely upset me.
Yeah.
Because it was my favorite film of that year. It was so obviously beyond what people should have expected. You elevated the material. You gave us a biopic that was also a really unexpected musical. I'm talking about it and I'm getting the chills. It really made me mad that you guys did not get more love.
Thank you.
I do want to hear about the hot cars, and I want to hear about how you make the action set pieces. But yeah, we were talking about the snub earlier, and it was very, very upsetting for fans of the movie at the time, and I'm sure for you. Do you think that we're starting to see now we're going in a whole different direction from hot cars?
Left turn.
Left turn. That was a strong left turn.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Do you feel like now we're starting to see the pathway open that in the future films like that really will get recognized as they deserve?
Well, sure. I mean, you know that you look at the Academy Awards this year, and there's a shift. I mean, but the bottom line is this: we don't do it for trophies. You know, you couldn't imagine us sitting down, you know, me with Ice Cube going, okay, we're gonna make an NWA movie and it's gonna win an Oscar. You know, it's just, I think we made a movie on that level, but we didn't sit down and just plan to make Oscar bait. This was something that was from the heart. And it's something that I experienced growing up. It influenced me, the music influenced me. I was there for part of it actually. When Cube left the group, I did his music videos as a solo artist and stuff like that. So we would have made that movie, and we did, just for the reasons that we did, and it's just personal. Now, if we get acknowledged, that's great. If the Academy doesn't see it that way, then it's really on them. It is what it is. But I'll say this: do you think that Outta Compton made an impact? Did it have an impact?
Yes, for sure.
Yes,
for sure. Without
question. Okay, so then if it had an impact, then job done. You know, this is they're still talking about the movie. So I could have made a $200 million blockbuster, and it could be forgotten at this point. You know, so I think we checked all the boxes we intended to check, and anything beyond that is really gravy. And I know it sounds real cliche to say that, but it really, truly is true. Our heart and soul is in that movie. You can tell, you can feel it. Being acknowledged outside of our fans, it's just gravy.
You talk about heart and soul, and the truth is, to go back to Fate of the Furious, one of the biggest parts of this franchise was Paul Walker.
Right.
So when you lose a member of the film family in that way,
that's right.
What do you do?
Well, first of all, you acknowledge it.
Yeah.
You acknowledge it, and you make sure that you're conscious of his legacy. You know, when I sat down with Vin, you know, our conversation wasn't, okay, how can we make the script work and stuff like that. The question is why. We have to answer the question of why you make an 8. And every major decision we made, the conversation about how it affected Paul's legacy was a part of that decision. And so when you watch the movie, we acknowledge that. I can't give up the.
No. And you shouldn't.
I can't give up exactly what we do, but I think we handle it well, and I think that it's an homage to him, and I think that it is respectful to his legacy, and we were very, very conscious of that. I've never seen someone so spiritually connected to a franchise. You know, with Vin Diesel and how he approaches these things, and they were brothers.
Yeah.
And so everyone loves Paul and respects how this affects his legacy. And you'll see that in the movie. Yeah.
Do you think that the legacy of Brian, and I don't know if you've been in talks about moving forward from here yet or not with the franchise, or if you even want to do that, if you would prefer to sort of go back and forth between smaller, more intimate films and larger ones?
If you follow my filmography, I always hop around,
go back and forth,
and do things different. It's really about what's the story. Like I said, with this one, they pitched Dom going rogue. I thought that was genius. You know, so I'm going to be a part of that. You know, I don't know what the next story is, so it's a conversation. We'll see.
Sure.
Right?
There's a lot of really great. We're selling the drama, which is really there, and the action, which is also there.
Sure.
Let's talk about that submarine for a minute, if we can, which is amazing.
Let's talk about the submarine.
Everything I needed.
That's right.
It is so good.
Right.
Everything you see in the trailer is paid off.
Yeah.
But there's a lot
Lambo
of
on
great.
ice.
A Lambo
Come
Don't give it away. Don't give it away. Don't give it away.
Yes. A Lambo on ice. I mean,
Tyrese is funny in this, though. There's a lot of really good humor. And Jason Statham has some very funny
Helen
sequence.
Mirren is hilarious.
Right?
She's perfect.
Right?
Hilarious.
How much more did you want her in? We're a lot to handle.
Right. No, it's all good. I mean, listen, I like that excitement.
I'm so sorry.
I like that excitement because if you watch the movie, that's what's going to happen. You're gonna be excited. And you're going to talk about it afterwards. I love it. I love it. I love that excitement. You know, Tyrese, insane. He's so good in this movie. He's so funny. It's not forced. It's so what I call situational humor. My first movie was Friday. It was my very first movie. I was 23 years old, so I know a little bit about comedy, and it was crucial to kind of counter some of the drama in the movie. And so he was brilliant to me. I thought that Helen Mirren, she was brilliant, of course, the queen. And Jason Statham, you'll see some surprises, right? Without giving up anything. Is he not good?
He has a really good sequence.
He has a sequence that is probably my favorite in the film.
Right?
Yes.
It's just, and it took me, I will say that up until, with the exception of The Italian Job, The Transport has always been very high on my list.
Sure.
But this goes beyond that.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Right?
It's a new side to him, too.
It is.
You see everything that you want to see from Jason Statham, and then you get this little extra bit, which is so with... I won't talk about it.
It's just extra in all the best,
but that's the key.
ways.
But that's the key. When you have really talented people, you want to push them. You want to kind of really stretch, spread their wings, stretch their wings, exercise different muscles, and we do that with all of the characters. You know, Vin had a lot of heavy lifting to do, given the drama.
Yeah.
And so I had to counter that with the humor and with the action and with the relationships that kind of surrounded this big choice to go rogue. So shout out to Vin Diesel for having to kind of just carry that load on a dramatic level. I think that you see stuff from him you've never seen before. I think he stretches himself as an artist. And then, you know, you'll see stuff that Michelle Rodriguez, you know, you've never seen from her before. But with Jason and with Tyrese and with Chris, I love it. It counterbalances the rest of the stuff in the drama, and I love it.
As Sasha was saying, you've worked with a lot of the cast before, and I'm always so curious to hear kind of pragmatic advice from directors. I mean, these are incredibly talented, huge personalities.
Sure.
How do you wrangle all of these cats? Like, how do you get what you need from them?
First of all, very astute. That's a very good question. No, you know what? There's a couple of things. First of all, I feel sorry for my producers and the first AD who had to schedule them. Could you imagine, you know, for a 2-page scene, you know, trying to get Charlize or Dwayne and Jason and Tyrese and Vin all in the same scene, you know, and you may have one line in the scene, but you have to get someone on a private jet to come fly from London to sit in the background and kind of like go, huh? It was insane. The logistics of the schedules, because you're dealing with bona fide superstars. You know, and so just the logistics alone, that was really tough. But it was easier for me in this way. First of all, I have worked with most of them before, you know, so there's a little bit of a shorthand. The other part of it is, it's just kind of the common denominator. Is it honest? You know, we have a lot of over-the-top action and fun stuff like that because it's, you know, it's that type of movie and that type of franchise. But, you know, is this an honest moment? So when all the smoke clears and you're dealing with Charlize or with Dwayne or with Jason or Michelle, you know, you just look at it and you kind of, you know, test it against, you know, your own instincts and say, does that feel real? And if it doesn't, then you make the adjustment or you have them make the adjustment. And so in that way, no, it's not hard because they're really good. They know their characters. But it's just, you know, getting them in the room sometimes is really hard to do because they're all major stars.
Yeah. Speaking again about the pragmatics of filmmaking, a lot of our viewers are aspiring filmmakers, maybe want to direct one day.
Sure.
You've had such an interesting trajectory because you started out doing like music videos and comedies, and then you went to big action stuff, and then you've done smaller, more independent things. But how, as a young filmmaker starting out, I mean, you obviously could never have predicted this would be your route. If you were starting out...
No, that's not true.
Really?
That's not true. And that's kind of the big, I wouldn't call it a myth, but people think that it was the music videos that got me here. You know, I was 16. I started off as a cameraman.
It's crazy.
And it's really funny that you bring that up because...
Are you still in school?
I was in high school.
In high school and working
as a cameraman. But it was behind the scenes. It wasn't like I had a big 35mm camera and I'm shooting like, you know, Steven Spielberg movies. It wasn't that. It was on a much smaller level, and you know, but it's where I started. I did a short film first before music videos, and because I didn't have the money to finish it, I did music videos to make money to finish it. Oh. And that's the reason why you see storylines in those music videos. Today Was a Good Day is a day in the life of Ice Cube.
Yeah.
Waterfalls with TLC has somewhat of a storyline. So you see helicopter shots and Steadicam and crane shots and dialogue and things like that, because I didn't have the money to go to film school.
Yeah.
So if you go to my website, fgarygray.com, you'll see a video there of me when I was a kid, and I said, one day I want to make epic films.
My goals as a director, I'd like to direct epic feature films that I won't have to apologize for years down the line.
And so there was a direct trajectory from being young to this very moment. This is an epic film. And you can argue my first massive, major epic film. Italian Job was great, and it was epic in its own way, but it doesn't get any bigger than this.
Yeah.
But this has been in the works for over 25 years.
What was your short film about?
It was from where I'm from. I grew up in South Central LA, and it was about how do you curb the violence in my neighborhood. You know, and I never got a chance to finish it.
What? You have the money now? Gary Gray, we can Kickstarter this right now.
We're going to Kickstarter the short film.
To make this
What's
finish?
It called?
If you guys can help me raise $1,000.
I will give you $20 right now.
I'm contributing $25.
That's funny.
I don't want to one-up you.
I want a T-shirt, but I want thanks for the
That's so funny. You know what's so funny about that? That's how I developed a relationship with Ice Cube, because he helped a little bit, and then he says, "Why are you trying to finish this short film? Why don't you make a feature film?" I was like, "Well, I'm doing this short film to make a feature film." He said, "Well, let's do Friday. Let's do a movie about our neighborhood." You know, two guys, because all those films back then were serious. It was like Menace to Society and Boys in the Hood, and it was serious. And we're like, let's make the opposite. Let's make, you know, because we grew up and it was fun. It was dangerous, but it was fun. So Friday came from the fact that I couldn't finish my short film. The short film meant a lot to me, but it was a tool to a stepping stone to feature films.
Yeah,
it was my plan, because again, I just didn't have the money for film school. So, you know, I guess it kind of worked. I wish I could have finished it, but I went on to do other things.
Done bigger and better.
You know,
you did fine.
It kind of worked out.
Is that the advice you would give to filmmakers? Would you say don't worry about making shorts, and as an entryway, would you say just go ahead and try and make a feature?
Absolutely not. I would say shoot, no matter what it is, because you learn by making mistakes. Don't be too precious. Don't try to be too perfect. Your first stuff is gonna be whack.
Yeah,
it's gonna be garbage. I'm sorry, unless you're a genius, and I haven't met many geniuses in this business. It's gonna be garbage. So, I mean, I see some of the footage from my short film. I'm like, ooh.
Oh, I really want this short film to be on video.
It was so on the nose. It was so on the nose. The dialogue was awful.
You wrote it too?
I wrote it too. Oh, yeah. So it was kind of like, you know how you're supposed to say, you know how you make a film, and it's like, you know, it's in the subtext. It was like, I love you. It's like, it was awful. I saw some of it the other day, because, you know, you think, oh, I'm a good filmmaker.
What did you shoot on?
Film.
Oh, wow.
16?
No. 35.
35?
I was a hustler back then.
How much did you shoot?
I shot 35 with Steadicam, Luma Crane in South LA in the early 90s.
No wonder you couldn't finish it.
I wrote letters to Kodak, to Panavision.
I got a Kodak scholarship. I got film out of Kodak too.
Right.
Yeah.
The short ends.
Yes.
You guys have no idea.
The short ends.
The short ends. Right?
So the short ends, if you don't know,
you got it. You have to get the short ends.
Short ends.
There are pieces left, and they basically like stitch it together and give it to students.
I made my film with short ends too.
This is amazing.
Right.
Yes.
So
did you finish yours?
One I did and one I didn't.
See, I'm jealous.
Yeah.
Now I'm leaving. No, but yeah,
I think one of us made it a little further as a director.
No, but listen, it is the truth. Like with, you know, I wrote letters to all of these big companies and said, hey, I'm struggling. I have a story. It's really important. I really need some help. And these companies actually stepped up and they gave me a $250,000 camera to shoot with. I borrowed it. The crane, the crew. I wrote letters to all these really important people from that worked on The Deer Hunter and that worked on these big films.
And you're like 18 at the time?
I'm 21 at the time.
21.
Wow.
What have you done today?
Exactly.
No.
Wait.
But listen, I gotta tell you, I think that in retrospect, I was really naive.
No, but it's good, right? I have a question. Don't you think it's good in a way to be naive? Because I think you get to a certain point where you almost know too much to bother to try anymore.
Absolutely.
If you have to be dumb a little bit to make it.
You have to be really dumb.
You have to believe that you won't make mistakes and that you are good enough.
You have to believe you're good enough.
There has to be a healthy ego.
Yeah.
And you have to be pretty stupid.
Yeah.
No, I mean, if you look at just context, back in the day, there weren't many black filmmakers. Not really doing it. You know what I mean? I thought about this before Spike Lee did his thing in '89 and Singleton did his thing in 1990. And then, you know, there was kind of these young guys kind of doing their thing. But to think that you're going to make it as a filmmaker didn't make sense because even those guys went to film school. They Spike went to NYU. Singleton went to USC.
USC, right?
And so
and then, like, the Hughes brothers.
Well, I don't know if they did.
But they also had each other.
Yeah.
So
that was, yeah. And I used to always tease them about that. I said, that's kind of a cheat.
Yeah.
When you have one guy doing the shot list and the other guy working with the actors.
That's not
fair. First of all, the Hughes brothers, they're kind of some of my favorite filmmakers from that era for sure. And I still always thought that was a cheat. But they're dope. They're dope. I was a little jealous. I'm like, come on, man. I suffer from sleep deprivation. I can't get any sleep. These actors are getting on my nerves. I wish I could send a twin over here to talk to these.
Just deal with Ice Cube.
You know,
I just can't right
That's
now.
right. I need a nap. I need a nap. But I think you're right. You have to almost put the blinders on. They were on naturally for me. I really had nothing to lose.
Yeah.
You know, you're broke and you are determined. And so with nothing to lose, every small victory was a big victory for me. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you think too much and you want to be perfect, that you're gonna have a tough road. But if you're just kind of like, one day I'm gonna move this mountain and believe that you can, I know that sounds cliche, it happened, it worked. Go to my website, and I'm not selling anything, there's no products on it, but fgarygray.com, and the video shows you as a kid, I'm like, one day I'm gonna make epic films, and I had no reason to believe that.
And then do you cut to footage of you filming a giant action sequence in New York or in Iceland?
Yes, I cut to scenes or shots of me directing all of my movies all the way up to Fate and Furious. The Fate of the Furious.
Yeah.
Is there just a reel of it?
It's a reel, yeah. It's a reel of it from, you know, when I was probably 25 pounds lighter and stupid.
Do you want to mentor now? Is that something that you don't have time probably?
I'm mentoring that guy right there with the camera. There's a guy standing behind the camera.
Come out here for a
Come in here, Charlie. Come in here, Charlie. Come in, quick.
Charlie. This is Charlie.
Charlie.
This is Charlie McLeod. He is the next big filmmaker. I put him through so much mess. That's why he has the beard and gray hair. But he's worked with me for years now, and I brought him along on Fate of the Furious to Iceland, to Cuba, to all these different places. He shadows me, and
congratulations. That's an amazing opportunity.
This is probably the best film school in the world for him, because the one thing that I find that you don't learn in environments like that is about the politics. And so he's seen the ups and the downs and all the way around, not just the creative stuff. And he hasn't slept in about a year and a half.
Good for you, Charlie.
And
welcome to Hollywood.
But he's great. Say something, man.
Yeah.
How's it been?
It's definitely been, invaluable experience. We met 2012, I believe. And I started off as an intern with this company. And then from there,
raking leaves and painting stuff.
Gas tanks.
Yeah. I had to put them through it. It's like boot camp.
And it's just been one of those experiences, really invaluable. And I don't think a film school could have ever prepared me or taught me the lessons that I've learned.
How did you become his intern?
Believe it or not, it was a referral through another director, Benny Boom.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Right, who's doing the Tupac movie.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, you know, we brought him on, and you know, the one thing he said to me is like, I'm not really looking to just work for you. I want a career. I want to work with your company. And so, you know, most people honestly can't handle this business. It's really tough, and if you can last, for instance, assisting someone like me, because I drive really hard. It requires so much to just be in our presence because we work so hard to have the fortitude to make it through that. Then I know you have the ability to actually direct film, and he's done it. Thank you, man.
Thank
Charlie,
you.
wait, Charlie, come here. What do you want to, like, what's your passion project? What do you want to direct?
Epic films. I don't want to stay. I don't want to stay in one genre because I believe when you stay in one genre, you kind of limit yourself. And the stories that should be told, and the world is just too big to limit yourself.
I like Charlie.
I know.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Charlie.
Yay.
There's no right path to the promised land. And I don't take anything away from film school. I'll tell you, there were times where I'd wish I'd gone to film school. When I directed The Negotiator with Kevin Spacey and Sam Jackson, there were times where I couldn't articulate what was in my brain. I'm 27 years old. I'm a kid. This guy went to Juilliard, and this guy went to Morehouse, and you know, they're talking about Shakespeare and Orson Welles, and I'm sitting here like a dumbass thinking about Scarface and Al Pacino, and I can't have a real conversation of them. I'm not a cinephile, not yet.
Wow.
I can't have a real conversation with them about specifics. You know, I could only really direct in generalities when I was younger, and if I had the tools, which you learn in film school, you never know. I may have been even more effective. Who knows? So I'll never take a dump on film school. Learn is the key.
So now when you're like sitting across from Helen Mirren,
Yes.
and you have now learned all of these lessons.
Sure.
What do you say to the Queen when you are directing her in The Fate of the Furious?
Well, first of all, she's so dope. I love her. But at this point, I'm 25 years in.
Yeah.
I've meditated in the Great Pyramids of Giza. I've kissed on top of the Eiffel Tower. I've been all throughout the
Did Charlie get to go to that
Amazon.
too?
No, he wasn't there for. He wasn't there for
I
that.
really hope that was not the kiss.
But no. Well, he was in China. We were in Beijing 2 days ago.
Yeah.
We were in Beijing. I took him to Beijing with me, and we're headed to Europe. But
For The Fate of the Furious.
yes.
Yeah.
But it's I've traveled a lot. There, again, whatever your path is, just make sure you learn. There's no right way, and so I would never take anything away from film school.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm only saying that to me
Now, the debt,
is an
that's
amazing
tough.
thing.
But-
Yeah,
but go ahead.
the debt
It's
is
all
tough.
over
So
debt.
if you are going to go into debt, I would say my advice would be go into debt making a film, not learning how to make a film. But
That makes sense. Well,
that makes sense to me with my experience.
but you got to remember like we didn't have the ability to edit on laptops.
Right.
Or
there was no
iPads.
YouTube or Vimeo.
Right.
Did you do that?
Right. We didn't. Yeah. Well. We had film, but then we went and added and
Flatbed.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's, I'm not that old. Damn. No, but yeah, there was a little bit of that, and then it transitioned to digital. But again, you can do a lot of this stuff at home. The key is what's in your heart. It's not really how you get there, is what you say when you get there, right?
Sure.
So if you're a person and you have all the money in the world, you go you go to all the film schools around the world, stuff like that, you don't have to say. Sorry, the language.
It's okay.
You don't have anything to say. What difference does it make? And then you can come from a place you have no money, but you have all the passion in the world, and you can really, profoundly affect people. And so it could come from any route. It's just, as long as you're creating from here, and I know it sounds cliche, I think you have a shot.
I know we got to let you go, but I'm going to ask one more pragmatic question because this came up before we were shooting and it sounded amazing to me. You got a suggestion from the studio about some casting in Straight Outta Compton, and then how did you navigate around that suggestion? Can you tell us what it was?
Well, there was casting suggestions for the Jerry Heller part, and I remember having a conversation with the studio about really seriously considering Ben Stiller. Just look at that face.
What?
Look at that face.
No,
look
Ben's
at that
Ben Stiller,
face.
but like,
You didn't even tell us that one. That's so much worse.
I know, but I just
Not
thought
that
about
Ben
it.
Stiller's terrible.
no, Ben Stiller's great, but
No,
Ben
but that's
Stiller's
not a thing.
so wrong. It's
For
not
that.
about being good or bad. It's just being right or
for
wrong
that.
for the part.
Well, it was because you're making a movie at a certain budget, and to guarantee a box office return, to make it, to make your money
Sure.
back, you put someone in who's more of a bankable star. And Paul Giamatti was my first choice because I worked with him on The Negotiator. I helped, I was right there in the beginning of his career.
Yeah.
And it all worked out, and it finally happened. But I'm not really sure if they definitely wanted us to consider him. I just don't know if he was right for that. But I will say, on a positive note, there is a sequel to Straight Outta Compton.
This is an exclusive. Exclusive right here.
And I wanted to announce it on ScreenJunkies.
Oh yeah! What?
Straight out of
Yeah!
nowhere. Straight.
Oh, it's happening.
Straight out of nowhere, and
That's very exciting.
Compton is rough, but
Nowhere's rougher.
nowhere is way rough.
Way rougher. I can't wait. Oh, FK Great. This has been so incredible. This has been informative.
Fun.
This has been so much fun.
Yeah.
And the movie is fantastic.
Yes.
Thank you.
The Fate of the Furious is in theaters on April 14th. Are you excited? As excited as we are? Let us know in the comments below. You can tweet us at SJ News. Make sure to like and subscribe. Of course, you can always click here for more Screen Junkies news. We'll see you again very soon. F. Gary Gray is the man.